I was originally from Colorado. Had moved to California as soon as I turned 18. Got married to an English woman and needed a place to settle down where I could find a job. And I had been living in the country in California, so there was no work where I was living there. And I thought, well, I have relatives in Eugene. I bet I could find something to do there. And so I moved to Eugene, Oregon. And we got to town, and one of my relatives said, "Oh, the country fair's going on. Why don't you go out there?" And so I did. I came out to the fall country fair in 1972. And it was amazing. It was almost like my old bear tribe that I lived with in California. A sense of community, and it took me a little while, but in 1976 I started working for them.
Hey, Pastor, how are you?
This was after my divorce and all those things. But I have never given up working for the country fair. This is my 41st fair, 41st working fair. So the Hawkowl actually is a kind of an interesting story, but it's not connected with the country fair at all. I was with Old Bear Tribe, and that's a name that was given to me by the tribe as to what they thought my essence was. And and that really was, they were right. That's who I was Hawkowl. Both birds, interestingly enough. Although there is hawk owls, which is a small brown daytime owl that lives in Canada, hunts the clearings near the old growth. And he's just a short little guy, but he's a little black and white spotted owl that lives in Canada, and it's a hawk owl. But I really was named for the two birds. The owl is my watcher. And the hawk doesn't come out real often, but he's definitely there. So I've been a hawk owl since I was just before I turned 21 years old. I am a medicine pipe carrier. I was taught how to use it in Bear Tribe, and I ran across a situation where I needed to do a ceremony to show some new people what we did, and there wasn't anybody but me to do it. So I quickly made a pipe and showed everybody how we did it. And you know, I've been a pipe carrier ever since. Made another pipe later on. So that's been an interesting journey. And then Bear Tribe fell apart, or changed, and then Sun Bear died, and Bear Tribe really did fall apart. But I've never left Bear Tribe. I still feel like I'm a Bear Tribe member. I'm still a pipe carrier of Old Bear Tribe. Oregon had a hold of me because after my divorce, of course, my daughter lived here. And to stay close to my daughter, I needed to stay around the area. And as a result, I'm still very close to my daughter. Very good friends with my daughter. So it all worked. And it's all worked very well. Oh, the people. They were so happy at what they were doing and having such a good time. And still, at that time, they were just basically still trying hard to make budget. And any extra money, because they had already, I think they were in the process of becoming a nonprofit then, doing all of that stuff and paying for the land and everything. So it was a pretty amazing time of early growth, and let's see if we can make this work, and maybe we could buy the land. And it all came up to, well, we're going to do it. We're going to buy it. Because for those first 3 or 4 years that I worked, we only could be here for 2 or 3 weeks. And that was it. We had to set it all up and tear it all down in that very short amount of time. And we did it. And we always made budget. And we always have made budget. So my actually very first crew, I worked security in '76 because of a connection with my partner at the time. My partner knew the head of security outside of Fair, and I managed to talk to him and get a job working security the very first year. I guarded the downstream part of Indian Creek for sneakers. So sneakers couldn't come through the creek. And I was very proud that I worked for the country fair and got to nab half a dozen people trying to sneak in and stuff. But the very next year, he switched over to traffic. And I liked him. He was a nice guy, and I followed him there. So I've been working traffic ever since 1977. And working a lot of traffic since '86. I left my partner, and so I had a lot more free time. And I started coming out earlier and earlier until I was basically already doing all the jobs that they gave me a coordinatorship to do. I was already doing them, and I had been for a number of years. And it just kind of was accidental that this was what I felt good doing. And when there was some jobs that I got, a job that I picked up in February, that once I got the job all lined out, I told him that I have the first week off, the first week and a half off in July, because I work the Oregon Country Fair. And I've always worked the Oregon Country Fair, and I always will. And if I have to quit to work the Oregon Country Fair, then I will quit. But I just wanted to warn you that this is going to happen. And all my employers let me go during that time, that I could go work the country fair, where my people are. Oh my gosh, we used to be able to easily park all our traffic, all our people that wanted to come and see us on our property. But we haven't been able to do that for a long time. Yeah, there used to be plenty of room for all of the staff cars and the public cars when we first started. So that has changed immensely. Our crew is just about doubled in size. I think we were just over 100 back then, 120 or something, and now we're around 290 or so. So, and that's just to handle the people that keep coming. And it's a lot. It helped when we put a cap on the gate. That helped a lot. Because I remember gridlock with people being stuck and not being able to move because there was too many people. And we didn't want that to happen again, so we initiated a cap. I don't really remember what year that happened, but so yeah, a lot of changes over 41 years when we were worried about making budget.
What's your vision for the future of the fair?
I don't really have one. It's because it's a natural process that is kind of growing, and as our kids and now our grandkids are starting to come in and actually have real jobs, grandkids that have entered teen crew. So what are their parents doing? Their parents are already working for us somewhere else. And it's a natural process of growth, and I'm just fascinated to stick around and watch what happens, because it'll probably be not what we think. So I try to not put any projections on it at all. You know, we sunk a car in the parking lot. We actually really did that. I was a witness to it. And I think it was before I'd moved out here to traffic camp, so it must have been in about 79 or so. I was standing at the traffic desk and a guy comes in drunk and said somebody stole his car. And we said, well, sorry, you just got to go report it. You know, we'll give you a ride back to town or whatever. So the next day I went out to park the back parking lot. There was his car right where he left it. He couldn't remember where he left it, so he thought it was stolen, but it was there. And so we used it to start a row. And we used it for the next day to start a row because it was there. And then we left, and then the farmers got it back, and the cows came in, and it flooded that winter. And when we came back the next year, the car was still there, but it was sinking into the ground. The ground had become so soft that it sunk. And I think by that time there was no motor or transmission. Maybe it might have had doors for a while longer, but we used it to start a row. The next year I came back and only the top of the car, of about 10 inches of the top of the car, was showing out of the dirt. We used it to start a row. The next year after that, it was gone. And all there was a bare patch of dirt that no grass grew on for a while. And right now that spot is over by the ponds, where the county came through and took part of the land and made some ponds. But I think it's still there. I think that car is still there. So that was a fun remembrance from the very, very early days when I parked cars. You know, I'm the one that said, you park here, and I stood in front of him, and right here, and I did it for a decade. I bet I did. Parked the cars myself. So that was fun to know that one as a participant. So, but ever since it's just been, you know, we got an air traffic control tower so we can see the parking lots. That was a big deal. I don't remember how long ago that was, 4 or 5 years, 6 years, that we've had a way to actually look at the parking lots. I always wanted one when I worked the front corner of Miss Piggy's. I parked all of the front corner, the handicapped and the bikers and the bicycles and all of that. And I wanted the tower right there so I could see my corner. I didn't get one, but then they changed everything and moved people further out and stuff. So that's okay. It's been a good fair. Every fair has been a really good fair. And I expect that to continue. I'm going to actually retire in a few years. They gave me a very easy job in traffic because I did my coordinatorship and worked for a full week pre-fair to help put it on. Had a radio for a bunch of years, and then retired. And they said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to just work in the office." And so that's what they let me do. And I'm the only one in traffic that works when I want. That my shift is just to get the job done, however long it takes. As long as I get the job done, they don't care when I do it. So I'm the only one in traffic that gets to say when I work. I think that's pretty special. And I very much enjoy it. I'm not sure there's anybody else that still works that came on when I did. There's a lot of us still around, but I'm not sure how many of them still work. I think it's all about, like I said, it's all about growing and being ready for the next step, because it's been a fascinating journey so far.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad I got to tell my car story.